everyone, and welcome to the weekly review. For this week, which is OPEX week, expecting to get a bit of a bounce. I'll show the get into details at the moment in a second, but what we need is sort of like this peak, retest, then down. It doesn't mean to have equal level, but it needs to be at least a lower high, like drop here, push up, and this was 341. Um, where else did we have it? We had it here as well. It was 2%. Potentially, we can argue this is the same kind of move here. This as well, like we peaked, dropped, retest, and then a bigger drop. And this is kind of the last piece we're missing from the current setup. And my expectation, generally speaking, is that we will get that retest. We are in a support area right now. Maybe let's say it's the gap fill that will be the support at 442, but we are virtually there as well. And we should see a bounce that takes us approximately to this gap fill here. May go higher, may not. I think it's more likely that it doesn't go higher. And then we start the next leg down that maybe goes to 440, something like this. But let's look at what happened first. And the previous week, we need July, and we need Q3. Okay, and now oops, let's zoom in. Actually, let's put them on all the time. So from this week, this one. Okay, so we went down. Um, Back tested the weekly open, went a bit, but it got rejected. Then kept going lower and lower and lower. We had one last push to the weekly open on Thursday, I think. Yeah, Thursday. That got rejected and gave us new lows. But we're still bouncing on this level, and I think this is the quarterly open approximately. So 442.92. This is a very, 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 very important level. I cannot overstate it enough. When we lose the quarterly, it's really, really bad. And like when we push up and go below the quarterly level. For example, this is where we opened the quarter here, and we went down, then recaptured it, and you see it was the trend reversal. So same same here. This was the quarterly open. We went up, then we lost the quarterly open, and just continue going down like crazy. There were several attempts to go back up as well, like here. Again, we tried to go back up, lost the quarterly open again, then completely, then dumped. Here as well, when we went up to this 430 level, then dumped again, and so on. So when we cross the quarterly open in a direction, is usually a very bad sign for the current trend. And going back to it, let's turn on the weekly level again. This week, let's look at July, see if we can catch anything. So you can kind of see where the big levels are. So one is here. We don't want to lose this one at all. If we lose this one, I think the drop accelerates. Like we have this kind of slow drop going, which is a U pattern that is supposed to take us back here. But if this doesn't happen, this is like a slow drip that turns into a cascade. It would be like this, something like this. And the target, see the Q3 open. Ah, August range. Okay, but the July range was good as well. So this will be the target as a minimum. But when we get going below the quarterly open, I think it's very difficult to stop. So I would guess this is for 40 is the other demand zone, which should be around here. So we should even overshoot the quarterly low because, like I said, we get a very large momentum push down. So I'll leave the July open here. A small resistance at this level. So depending on how things play out, we may see this and then back up. Uh, but potentially we can get right through this very easily. Then we have this level that is the previous this deviation here, like it's the extremities of this deviation. And like I said, I don't think we can see the July high, but potentially can get to 455 again in this area. So that's kind of it. Expectation after we hit the top, I think we drop. We go into quarterly OPEX month. We have Jackson Hole next week, which I honestly don't know what to call. My, I'm leaning bullish for Jackson Hole because I think this will be sort of a mission accomplished kind of a scenario. Um, but I don't know. Like J Powell might be scared about inflation coming back, and he might still take a bearish stance on the setup, say higher for longer, maybe one or two more hikes, stuff like that, which might spook the market. So lots of uncertainty beside this week. So most likely scenario beyond this week is the drop continuing. And as I showed initially, these types of double tests are not bullish. Like we have this retest down, this retest down, this retest down, and so on. You get the idea. There are quite a few of them. This one and down, this one double test the top, then down, and so on. So these are not bullish setups, and it's more likely than not that we will see at least 440 for September OPEX. Okay, and I'm gonna do the weekly selection in this video as well. Didn't have a lot of time to go over stuff of new tickers, but I'll review everything and add a couple of more. Walmart and Rivian are the new ones, and I'll take a couple off. So for AMC, it was looking kind of good until the news after hours, and then it dumped into the middle of the earth, and now it's a very unpleasant setup uh, in which we are at horizontal support. This area here is long-term demand area from, I'll show it on the daily. This was the GME pop, and then this is where we consolidated before AMC had its own run to 60 post GME. So this is the demand area. We probably will fill this gap here and then go back up. So we're close to that area, but lots of uncertainty. Like we can continue down up down to this area, or we can have a full bounce, or we can have a partial bounce to 440, 425, 441. I honestly don't know. What I'm interested in buying is buying when we get to this range here. This is a potentially a good buy, but due to the uncertainty, AMC is off the list, so I'll put it in the question mark section at least for now. Schwab, still like Schwab, it didn't move yet. Still like banks in general, but Schwab is doing a very, very nice bull flag. Uh, if it breaks down, still think it's a buy at 59.60, and then, but most likely is that it breaks out and goes up to target of 75. Nvidia broke down, didn't hold the horizontal support. Now it's on another level and very, very oversold on 4 hours. Let's see. It's kind of where we bounce. Maybe may go a little further down, but I don't think it's that likely. If we look at 4 hour, it kind of already stopped the drop and preparing to go back up. So think Nvidia will probably do something like this. Now this went up to this trend line, but it could also potentially do horizontal resistance here and do like this. So still a lower high scenario for Nvidia, and the rally should not last past this week. Charge point still waiting, nothing happening, is still on the list. UNH just consolidating in this area, still looks like a bull flag, nothing to report. Foot Locker, same kind of situation, nothing happening, but still in the consolidation range, and nothing has changed in the expectation. Hood had bad earnings, or not bad earnings, but a bad earnings reaction. It lost another horizontal level. This is pretty big, and now the next support area is supposed to be 10. So wait for a 10 retest, and then maybe we can take it long just like this. This should not actually no. So if it goes to 10, then most likely 11, this previous top area with the potential for some consolidation here should act as a resistance, but lower high is the expected setup. We can draw this as a top, some something like this. Huya, it dropped last week. Like I said, this name has very ugly spreads. It should be played with shares and earnings. We'll see what happens with earnings tomorrow. RH got finally broke down a bit. Uh, if this holds, retest of the highs. If this doesn't hold, it has quite a bit to drop until 343. So this scenario remains in play from last week. But if this doesn't hold, it should go here. UPS didn't had a bearish earnings reaction. It recovered a bit, but then continued down. So if it doesn't stop here, like it could do this, but still bearish afterwards. Uh, but my expectation is something like this. I don't think it stops before reaching 166. Even if we bounce, the target still remains 166. Until we get to this level, I'm not bullish on UPS. LLY, on the other hand, smashed earnings, and I think this is like an Nvidia kind of setup. It can likely continue to go up, new all-time high. It hasn't retraced almost at all from this move up, so I think it does another leg up to, I don't know, 600, and then maybe craters. Like I said, this is because earnings were so good. This is now an Nvidia situation similar to this. So this is kind of what I expect for LLY to do. Even though it's run a lot, it can still go up a bit higher. And we take it from the short list. LNC, just waiting. This is for January 24, the position. So we wait to see what happens. Disney had a nice earnings reaction, but then almost faded everything back down afterwards. This is still kind of bullish. I would expect we see 95 before we turn back down and maybe do something like this. TLT retesting the lows. This is fine. Uh, Regardless of if it makes new lows or not, like it could do this, but I think we will still have a bullish RSI divergence. So for TLT, it's about adding here for the long term, not necessarily playing it short term. And I think we may see this. PFE waiting for the breakout. That's kind of it, nothing new. Walgreens still in consolidation around here. Buy at 28-ish and then wait for the breakout. Target went below the trend line and now I think it's kind of bearish. So I would expect we may see even 122 do something like this. So this is out of the question for now. And another reason is because I have Walmart on the short list. So let's put it short-term bearish. Walmart. This is TA based. There were some flows for puts as well. It deviated a bit from the previous all-time high, but only a bit. And this is a bearish pattern for this week. So I would expect a breakdown, not necessarily that it goes something like this, but at least a retest of this horizontal level to 153-ish, and then potentially recover, go back up, and then like this. Let's continue. Groupon, positive earnings reaction with a delay. I don't know. I don't know what the news was here for the 20 plus 24%. But it's off the list. It made this move. GME, another one for still waiting. Axion Crater is now in a potential buy zone, not touching it, just waiting. Rivian. So I like Rivian for short-term bullish this week. It filled this gap here. It's at the previous high levels. Let's say it's this as the full range of it. We zoom in, we can see that it's curling up. Not curling up yet, but stopped the drop and basically should do this with a pushback to at least this level, like 23-ish, 23.5, 24, something like this. Be this one. So expectation is for a move up, target 1, target 2, target 3. And depending on the market, it might be strong enough to get up to here, but I think we see this 100%, like 23-ish. Okay, that's it for this week. Have a good one. Bye bye.